Strength training might be one of the most important things you can do for your long-term health, yet it's still something many people overlook or feel intimidated by. Today on the Ascent Health, I'm talking to Dr. Samantha Fox, doctor of physical therapy and founder of Breakout PT and Wellness, about why resistance training matters so much. We're discussing the benefits of building muscle, why strength training is especially important for women as we age, and how lifting weights can help prevent injury and support an active life. Let's dive in. Welcome to On the Ascent Health. I am here today with Sam Fox, a physical therapist, and we are talking about strength training or resistance training.
Yep.
So welcome.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and why this topic is so important?
Yeah. So, like Laura said, I'm a physical therapist. I own my own business, Breakout Physical Therapy and Wellness. And I love talking about resistance training because I think everybody should be doing it, not only for recovery, but also for prevention and just an overall good picture of health and wellness. So I think it's a big part of that.
So what is resistance training? How does it differ from cardio?
Resistance training can look like lifting weights. It could be doing things at body weight. It could be using bands. It's kind of a wide variety of things for whatever works best for your body. But basically, the point of resistance training is to be able to add extra stress to your muscles to help them to get stronger.
And why is it important? Why do we need to be strong? Why do we need people to do this?
Yes, for a lot of reasons. One, my favorite, injury prevention. Two, because there are a lot of physical benefits of resistance training, which we can talk a little bit more about that later. But from a cellular level, there's a lot of benefits. From a mental health standpoint, there's a lot of benefits. Resistance training just allows you to be able to do everything that you want to do for as long as you want to do it. It doesn't have to look like just lifting weights. It could be, picking up your grandchild. It could be being able to carry your groceries inside, lift your luggage overhead in the plane and not not be the person struggling to lift that overstuffed suitcase into the overhead bin. Strength training can help with all of those things.
Okay, let's go in a little more into detail into each of them. So let's talk about injury prevention.
Yes.
How does being strong strength training actually keep you from getting injured?
Yeah, that's a great question. Strong muscles give your body stability. And in order to prevent injury, right? Injury typically happens when your body is put into a position it's not used to. Injury can happen if your body is asked to do more than it has been asked to do before or feels like it's capable of. Injury can happen, of course, with, just like that freak accident, you slip on ice, right? But strength training can allow you to have better balance. It can make sure that you have stability. It can make sure that you can do those hard things, that there's some capacity in your body to do a little bit more than what you typically ask your body to do. And that's the biggest thing for injury prevention, that and just being able to be strong in all of the motions that you expect your body to do and potentially your body would have to do when it's unexpected.
And I think, most of the injuries I see, probably most of the injuries you see, they're not the acute injury. They're the chronic wear and tear. I don't know if it's 70%, 80%, 90%. Most people, most injuries, it's like a long-term thing that they've just been doing too much of something that their body's not prepared for. The knee injuries, almost all of the shoulder injuries are
back.
just
Yeah.
neck pain.
Yep.
That happens from just chronic overuse, posture patterns, things that strength training can make a huge difference.
Strength training does a good job of just overall improving body awareness, being able to understand how to put your body in these different positions, how to be able to carry load in these different positions really allows you to really help either prevent, maintain, or reverse those chronic injuries that people often come to see us for. Yep.
Let's talk about mental health. What are the mental health benefits of strength training? And especially compared to cardio, because cardio can make you feel really good too, right? If you've gotten a runner's high, it's awesome.
Yeah. I will preface this with, I am not an expert on the mental health side.
That's
I just know, one, my own experience, and two, the experience of the clients that I work with. Like, one, being able to strength train and see that very concrete, I could lift 20 pounds a month ago and now I can lift 30 pounds. Like, seeing that improvement really does a lot for your brain to understand that you can do hard things, that you can improve, that you can put work in and see that your body is able to do more. And even that change, 20 to 22 pounds, like, that's a big deal. Not everybody needs to be, lifting 400 pounds and getting this
We
ultimate,
can't lift 400. I can't lift
I cannot.
400.
No,
Okay.
me
I was
neither.
like,
But, we don't need to be able to do this to be able to see that mental benefit. That being said, the actual act of doing strength training, very similarly to cardio, like, you get those hormones that are released, you see that immediate benefit too of just being able to get into the gym, get your stress out, move your body, all of that stuff too. And so I like it from that standpoint, but I also like it from the brain standpoint of, like, seeing that we can set our mind to something and do it
right.
and be consistent and get better.
Yeah, I was gonna say it improves mood for
Yeah.
sure. All exercise does. Then I feel like the confidence that you get when you can, especially I'm not a big person. I like to lift heavy weights for me, and just seeing myself progress. Like, you build that confidence, and then, you're walking around like a stronger person, because you're
Yeah.
like, hey, I can deadlift like 155. Not a lot for people who like actually lift, but like for me, I'm like, wow, I'm strong. Like,
Yeah.
that's more than I weigh.
And strong is relative, right? Like, people think, oh, I can only squat 50 pounds, or I can only squat my body weight, right? But if you are a person who even weighs 120 pounds, right? Like, in general, we would think that that's like a pretty small person. That's 120 pounds that you're squatting, right? Like,
Right.
you're going down and you're coming back up. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much weight you're doing, as long as you're doing something that is challenging for you. And I think there's a huge misconception with strength resistance training that in order to get a ton out of it, you have to be at, like, bodybuilder, power lifter level. And, like, that's the understanding that strength training has had for so long, that you need to be in the gym lifting these big crazy movements. You need to be lifting a lot of weight. You need to be doing really, like, I don't know, crazy things. The internet shows lots of crazy things that people are doing in a weight room, and resistance training doesn't need to be that. And I think knowing that makes it more approachable for people who haven't spent a lot of time in the gym, that don't feel comfortable doing anything other than machines at the gym,
Right.
just because it can be scary and you don't want to hurt yourself. So,
Yeah. And I was saying, like, squatting leads us into like longevity and the importance of it for that. Like, squatting, this is one of my favorite things to talk about. So important for
yeah.
longevity. Like, you need the ability to squat to be able to get on and off the toilet. Once you lose that ability, you're going to assisted living care, and then your lifespan decreases. So the ability to squat, your body weight, you don't need to squat more than, but like your body weight, so important.
Yeah. And to be able to do that in a way that isn't so physically taxing for your body. You don't want your body weight to be the maximum amount that your body can do. We have to train to get the capacity to be a little bit more than that. So if you're tired, or maybe you're having pain, or you're sick and you just don't have your full strength, you still have some buffer, some wiggle room to be able to still do the things that you want and need to do.
Mentioned balance and strength training. Another one, like, you want to keep balance while you age, because once you break a hip, your lifespan goes down. Like, your lifespan is so correlated with having some degree of muscular and then bone density as a result.
Yep.
So let's talk about cellular benefits.
It's crazy how much resistance training can improve things like blood sugar management, can improve bone density, can improve just your lean muscle mass, your body composition, right? We think of strength training as, like, bulking up.
Right. Yeah.
That's not that's that's one way to do it. I mean, there are plenty of people that do that for that reason, and that's okay. But the general public, the general public, we need them to do resistance training for all of these cellular things. One, strength training, especially for women that are menopause, postmenopause, it actually changes the body's response with the symptoms that you experience with like menopause and postmenopause. And so it can decrease some of those symptoms like the hot flashes and all of that stuff. It can improve that, and you're not experiencing them to the degree that you might if you weren't resistance training, which I thought was really cool, because I think thinking about middle to late, like, I don't know, these 50s, 60-year-old women, a lot of them aren't in the gym, and we need to get them in the gym, because that's the point where we can maintain that bone density, where we can keep the muscle mass, can keep the strength, decrease some of those menopause, postmenopause symptoms. Imagine if you're not experiencing that. If that's not a reason to get into the gym, I don't know what is. I've never experienced those things. I had a baby last July, and so I've experienced a lot of different hormonal changes, and I found that even being in the gym for me has helped to regulate a lot of those things as well. I don't know the science behind that. That's just my experience, but I could imagine that if you're experiencing a lot of hormonal changes later in life, that it's a similar experience.
Right. So let's talk about like the misconceptions. Like, women, are we going to get bulky? What does it actually take to get bulky, building muscles, and how likely is that?
Yeah. So anytime you do resistance training, you're building muscle. That's the point, right? We're challenging our muscles. We're asking them to do more than they want. We want them to break down just a little bit so that they can build up and become stronger. The ability or the likelihood of getting bulky is really related to how you're training and the way that your training plan is. And so,
and how much you're eating. I think that's a big, but you have to be eating a fair amount.
Yeah.
And usually like caloric excess to put on extra muscle mass. If you're training and not eating enough to do that, like, you could almost be training the same and you wouldn't put on as much muscle mass.
Exactly.
You'd be very sore, but
right. And I think too, it depends on how you're putting together the program for resistance training, just because, there's many schools of thought as far as putting together programming. But as far as resistance training goes, if you're not lifting big amounts of stuff repeatedly, like if you're doing things that are challenging for your muscles, but maybe not quite so high, like so much higher than what your muscles are capable of, you're not going to be getting that muscle, like, it's called hypertrophy, right? You're not getting this crazy amount of muscle size increase. It's basically just helping to make sure that you're getting good lean muscle mass, which is what we want, and what actually helps with the management of the blood sugar, the bone density, all of that stuff. So.
And by the time you're a woman in your 40s and 50s, it's really hard to put on muscle mass. Like, your body doesn't naturally do it. It's naturally declining.
Yeah.
So like, maybe in your teens or your 20s, you might have bulked up a little bit more, but by the time you're my age, like, it's really hard to do.
Yeah.
So it's, a thing.
Yeah, that's what I think about that.
And then any other misconceptions that you have run into with strength training, what people think it is?
The one thing that I have noticed is that a lot of people tell me, they're like, oh, I don't want to strength train because I don't want to be super sore.
Okay.
I have to do things in my daily life. I can't be super sore. Like, everybody told me that when you strength train, if you're not having any pain, you're not having any gain. And that's not the case. The goal of strength training isn't to be so sore you can't walk, or so sore you can't get up off the toilet. Occasionally, is that a side effect when you do challenge your muscles? Absolutely. But you don't need to be working out to the point of, total body soreness every single time that you work out. You're still getting a good workout in, even if you're not getting to that point. And so some people love the feeling of muscle soreness. My husband is one of them.
Me too.
I don't love it, but I do know why that is. If every workout is like that, even though that, I know the benefits of resistance training. If every single workout I do, I'm super sore after, it's not going to make me want to work out. So finding ways of challenging your body without getting to the point of just being like so sore you can't walk, that's a good balance to have. Either you can put that together or you can work with somebody who knows how to do all that stuff. So
How much strength training do people need? How
yeah.
much, like how many hours a week? How hard do you have to push?
It's actually from a research standpoint, it's actually a really manageable amount, which I have known anecdotally what's helpful just
Mhm.
from my experience as an athlete and in doing research for this. The research right now is saying 2 to 3 times a week, 45 minutes, which a lot of people that I've talked to about strength training, they're like, well, am I not going to see any improvement if I'm only able to give 2 days a week? And
Right.
actually, like, that's the perfect amount.
Mhm.
It's good to be able to do strength training, but also do cardio and also do functional activities in your daily life that allow you to be active. And maybe that's playing with your kids or your grandkids, getting outside, going for a walk, right? It doesn't have to be, okay, I'm strength training, I'm in the gym every single day,
Right.
I'm there for an hour and a half. Like, most people don't
We don't
have
have
that
time.
time.
Yeah.
They don't have that time to give,
Yeah.
me included. And I love strength training and I know how important it is, but going and challenging yourself, and not even challenging yourself to the point where you just want to flop over on the
Right.
floor and lay there for an hour.
But to the point where you experience some
Yeah.
discomfort, right? Like it's not like, oh, this is so easy. I could keep doing this all day. You
Right.
need to like wear down the muscles a
Exactly.
little bit.
Yep. And you would expect there to be muscle fatigue when you're doing all of these exercises, but you don't want to necessarily feel like you have to go to the point of failure. So as far as how hard to go, I would say 75%.
Right.
You still want to be able to get up and go on and live your daily life and do all of those things, but you do want to challenge yourself and feel tired, but also proud and accomplished at the end of your session.
Right. And as a female, right, we obviously have hormones that fluctuate. There will be days where it'll be easier and you feel like pushing harder. And there will be days where your body's like, please give me a break. And then you don't need to push as hard on
Yeah.
those days. And there's a whole thing on like cycle syncing and you can work out harder in these days.
Hmm.
But like that does play in. The same thing that feels hard one day may feel easy
Yeah.
another day.
Hmm.
And so just work with that.
Totally.
In terms of like where, if somebody hasn't been to a gym or, do they have to get a gym membership? How does one practically go about
Yeah.
finding a way to work out?
Yeah. Great question. Especially when I'm working with clients, one of the big things that I talk about with them is we need to figure out what is something that's practical to fit into your life.
Mhm.
And for busy people, sometimes getting a gym membership and going to the gym and doing all that stuff like isn't feasible. They
Mhm.
need to start somewhere, and the barrier of being able to get to the gym, oh, I don't have time, like I'm just not going to get a gym membership. Like, okay, you don't need to go to the gym
Right.
to start. You just need to start. And maybe that looks like, okay, you're cooking dinner and the kids are doing their homework. Like while you're standing at the countertop waiting for the rice to boil, can you be doing some squats? Could you be doing some lunges? Could you be holding the baby on one arm and using something that you have in your kitchen to be able
We're
to?
gonna get videos of Sam doing all this.
Yes, I know.
Overhead press while
Which,
holding a baby and
yeah, the other day I was holding him and stirring oatmeal and
yeah.
reaching and doing all this stuff. Like, that's functional fitness. And we want you to be able to start integrating that into your life. Ideally, you're able to set aside 45 minutes, an hour, a couple times a week to yourself. It's not realistic for everybody. And maybe it's not realistic for you in the time of life that you're in right now. Maybe you have 1 day a week. Maybe you have 10 minutes a couple days a week. How can you start and do those things at home, even with body weight? Just because if you haven't been strength training, body weight is enough,
Mhm.
right?
Where do you learn those things to do?
Yeah.
Like if you don't know how to squat, lunge,
Yeah.
like
Uh, Well, a couple different places. One, Laura and I are going to be putting on a Ladies Learn to Lift workshop and series here at Ascent to teach you the basics and the fundamentals. And ideally, we're teaching you the things that you can do with weights while you're here. It can totally be adapted to body weight. And if you have any questions about that, like either of us would be glad to
Absolutely.
talk to you about that. I also, with my physical therapy business, I put together like maintenance, like strength programming for people. If you feel like you need something that's individual to you, or, you have a history of injury or you have a history of back pain and you want somebody to make something that is able to be put together specifically for you, I gladly do that. I know that there are workout classes here at Ascent that they do, it's a small group training. And so you can come in and just get moving.
What
Lots of
online
options.
resources? I don't know any off the top of my
Yeah.
head, but like there are places where you can like Google, right, how to squat, and it's on
Yeah.
YouTube. It's a little bit tricky trying to figure out, okay, what type of movements, and there's a lot of different type of
hmm
movements, right? We don't just want to be able to squat. We got to be able to use our arms and shoulders and
And the
core and
backside of your body
right.
too. Yeah. I think YouTube is a great resource. It's also challenging because there's so much out there.
Mhm.
And it's hard to know if what you're doing is what they're recommending you to do, right? And so if you are going down that route and you're wanting to kind of sort these things out yourself or try a couple of things, if you have a mirror,
Yeah.
I would be doing all this stuff in front of a mirror, just because what you feel in your body and what you see with your eyes usually are two different things. And so using that visual feedback is a good thing to understand if what you're being asked to do on a video is also what your
Mhm.
body is physically doing. So, yeah, that's what I would recommend about that. There's plenty of stuff out
I
there.
was gonna say, and there's online training programs. I'm not familiar with any in
Yeah.
specific,
Yep.
but that is something that people can fit in their life, and they'll
Yeah.
have workouts at home that have, no weights, or you can like program in what weights you have
Mhm.
access to, and you can get more of like a total body. That helps you build, something that's gonna help with like, anterior chain, like squats, your
Yeah.
quads, posterior chain, your, hamstrings,
Yeah.
glutes.
Well, that's the other thing too, is that if the one recommendation that I would have for anybody who is using an online version of like a training program, choose something that will allow you to have full body workouts. I find that the the risk of injury for people that are just starting resistance training is higher when they're doing a program that has like a day that is heavy on the arms and then
Mhm.
heavy on the legs, because your body just isn't used to having that much strain on one part of your body for an entire workout. And so choosing a workout that works your arms, your legs, and your core within one workout and doing many of those workouts in a row, that is the best way of preventing injury as you start to do stuff. One of the things that we were talking about is like what what are the biggest mistakes that people make
Right.
when they start resistance training, thinking, wow, this is a great idea. Sam, Laura, they told us, all of these great things that I can have with resistance training. I want to do it. I'm going to start doing all this stuff. And you go into it and you're strength training every single day and you're trying to lift all these heavy weights because more is better, right? More is going to give me all of these benefits. It's going to give me the benefits faster. And actually, that's not the case. It
Mhm.
leads to number one, burnout, number two, injury a lot of times. Finding a way of mixing that in and integrating it, having it be something that is a couple times a week. Do this consistently. I can get a month where I'm doing 2 workouts a week and I can do that. Okay, I'm going to add a third workout because I really love how strength training is
Mhm.
making me feel. Don't start with 5 days a week.
Right.
Don't start with 7 days a week.
Right.
You don't need to be doing something every day to see the benefits. Like 2 to 3 times a week, start with two and get your body moving in a way that is consistent before you're adding too much. That's like the number one biggest
Mhm.
mistake that I see. people do.
And let's talk about, okay, things that people need to go along with it.
Yeah.
Recovery. I mean,
Yes.
right, that's why you don't train. If you're training 5, 7 days, people who do that, they are training only specific areas
Yeah.
those days. You don't train the same area
Mhm.
7 days a week. It's like runners who like oughtn't be running, however many miles every single day.
Yeah.
Your muscles need to have time to like repair. That's what makes them stronger. So
Yep.
time for recovery
Yep.
is important. What else to support?
Hydration.
Okay.
The other thing too is making sure that after you're doing strength training, within about 30 minutes, you're eating something that has both a carb and a protein. And it doesn't have to be a full meal, but 30-minute window really allows your muscles to be at their kind of maximal absorption. And we need the carbs to be able to have the energy to use the protein from that snack to help repair your muscles. Um, I always tell people like a chocolate milk and a banana or peanut butter and jelly sandwich, like it doesn't have to be groundbreaking,
Hmm.
but a lot of people think, oh, I'm resistance training, I need to have protein, right? Like I want my muscles to be stronger, I'm
Hmm.
having protein. But your body has to have carb to be able to use that protein to be able to help your muscles to recover. If we don't have carb in our body breaks our muscles down because that's where we store that excess carb that we don't
Hmm.
use, which is counterintuitive of what we're
Right.
trying to do, right? And so it doesn't have to be a whole loaf of bread or anything like that, but we do need a little bit of carb to be able to help the muscles repair. So,
Right.
yeah, hydration, fueling, sleep.
I was gonna say sleep too,
Sleep.
right? Like that's when your body repairs. If you are not sleeping well, like your body's it just doesn't heal well.
Yeah.
That's why after you have a baby, like things like take longer to heal because one, the kid's taking all your stuff, but also you're not
Yeah.
sleeping and it's like my body's not healing. So
Yeah.
sleep is so important
Yeah.
to be able to support that.
Yep.
Anything else that you would add? Any takeaways you want for women today?
The biggest takeaway I think any person, women, men, children, anyone, older adults, is that it doesn't matter what you've been able to do in the past. It just matters what you do right now. So it doesn't matter if you've never done strength training or
Mhm.
only ever done aerobic exercise. Like it doesn't matter. You need to start strengthening now because that is going to be what helps you to have all those physical and mental and like good for the soul type benefits and allow you to do what you want to over the course of your life and be able to keep up with your family and get on and off the floor with your kids or hike up a mountain or go skiing, right? Like all of these things are important. And the things that are important are well outside of the weight room or wherever you're doing your resistance training. The things that are important are you being able to do the functional activities that you want to in your life. And so strength training is only going to make that better.
Right. I
Yeah.
agree. Right. My kids now are just over 40 each. And when I'm holding them both, they got 40 some, 41 and 43. And I'm like, I can hold 80, like 85 pounds is the
Yeah.
math, something
Yeah.
like that, close to 85
Plus the
pounds.
clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is, I mean, it's so important
Yeah.
for life. And
Mm.
yeah, it's fun training in the gym, but like being able to, climb that mountain, play that game, do all of those things. And then again, like the confidence that you get. Like my
Yeah.
goal is for women to feel one, strong and powerful in the gym, but feel strong and powerful in everyday life when you're walking into whatever room for work, when you're, doing whatever with your kids. Like I want that confidence for women. And that's like why we're doing this class. And I was looking for a female trainer to run it. And then Sam and I were like, we just got to do this because somebody has to have a place for women to learn to lift. And you can learn online if you want to learn in person. Like we're making that
Mhm.
opportunity. And I'm super excited
Yeah, me too.
about that. All right. For people who they just like to hike or they only want to, ski outdoors, why is it important for them to go in the gym? Because they don't want to go in the gym. They want to play outside.
Right. The biggest reason is because being in the gym, doing strength training, especially strength training for the muscles that you use for any of those activities, is actually going to make you, one, less likely for injury when you're spending a lot of time outside, and two, it's going to make you better at it. You're either going to be able to run faster or run for longer or go up a steeper mountain or carry your kid on your back while you're hiking up in the mountains. It allows you to be able to do all of those things and keep doing those things without having to take breaks if you don't want to. I think especially in the summertime here, you know, Alaskans get a little bit of like sun mania, right? The sun comes out and you're like, I have to be outside.
Yep.
It's so dark in the wintertime. You know, I have to take advantage. And if in the wintertime, you know, people are out skiing, but maybe less time, and then in the summer they're outside more.
Right.
That's kind of an imbalance of the amount of activity that you're doing. And so I always encourage people, you know, if summer is the time that you like to be outside and you like to go camping and hike and do all that stuff, like the winter is the time that you should be spending in the weight room. Like, yes, it's usually nice enough outside for you to go skiing, but it's not every day. Sometimes we don't get snow, right? Skiing is very dependent on the snow. It's dark a lot of the time. Like, come into the gym, be inside.
In the 9 a.m. class in December and it'll be dark.
It'll
right?
still be dark. Yeah. Come in the gym when it's dark and it's -20 outside and you don't want to be skiing, because that's going to set you up for success. Ideally, you're also doing strength training in the summer, but
But you could do more. Like, I definitely train more in the winter, and then the summer is more like maintenance.
Yes.
Right. Like,
Yep.
I'm gonna make it, but I'm gonna make it a little bit less because mental health is telling me I should go outside and run in this sun.
Absolutely.
Too.
Yes.
But we are gonna hopefully be able to open up our back and have some outside training area this
Woohoo!
summer too, because even when you're in like lifting weights, it's nice to be
Be
outside.
outside. Yeah.
How is resistance training different compared to just like cross training, right? If let's say we're training for the gold nugget, we're training for the gold nugget.
We are.
We're
Yep.
swimming, we're biking, we're running.
Yeah.
We really need to resistance train
Yes.
as well.
Yep.
Why?
Because,
It's a lot.
yeah. Well, if you're asking your body to do a lot of different things, you should be training strength in all of those motions. If you're somebody who does a lot of running, you're generally and skiing, really, you're moving a lot in this forward motion. Same with biking. But what about the muscles that are on the sides of your body or on the back of your body? You need to be able to keep those strong so that while you're doing all these things, you're not putting yourself at risk for injury. Even if we're not using those muscles specifically for any of these activities, we're using them to stabilize. And resistance training helps just overall endurance and helps your body to be able to be more efficient doing the activities that you want to do. Yesterday at work, I got a cup or a mug, and on the outside it says, I'm a triathlete. Like, I make exercise 3 times as hard, right?
Yep.
And people think, oh, like I'm doing all this stuff, I don't need to be doing extra stuff. And as I'm training for the gold nugget, I'm prioritizing 2 times a week of strength training, because I know that if I'm not doing that, I'm not going to be able to do all the other things without injuring myself. Like, it is a priority for me to keep my strength and resistance training up to be able to do all the things that I want to do.
And let's say I haven't been swimming, biking, or running.
Yep.
I've been strength training, and now all of a sudden I'm training for this triathlon.
Yeah.
Do I have an advantage because I've been strength training? Is that going to feed into those sports?
I think so. Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe we should do an experiment. Yep.
And Sam, where can people find you? Tell us if they want to work with you.
Yep.
Website.
Yep.
Instagram. She's got cool stuff on Instagram. Lots of core movements. If you scroll back a little bit. So.
February was core for community. There's a different core exercise for every day. You can find me on Instagram. My Instagram is at Breakout PT and Wellness. The website is the same, breakoutptandwellness.com. So I would love to work with you. And if you have any questions, I would love to answer them as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening to On the Ascent Health. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you found it helpful, share it with a friend and leave us a review. It helps more people discover the show. The views and opinions shared by guests on this podcast do not necessarily reflect my own or that of Ascent Health and Performance. The information provided is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice.